So, Margarida, can you please introduce yourself and share a brief overview of your educational and professional background?
Hello, I'm Margarita Silva. I'm a PR specialist. Right now, I'm one of the managing partners from Aurora. That is a PR agency focused on reputation management. I started my career in PR as well. That's where I took my education. And later on, I've been specializing myself more in the tech sector. And with that came AI in my life. So right now, all of our agency has been trying to work in a way of being more productive using AI. And at the same time, I start giving lectures in Superior School of Social Communication, especially in AI and PR.
That's awesome. So, Margarida, can you please tell us a bit about your job with AI? What is it that you do? What are your daily tasks? And how do you use AI in your job?
Okay, so I was working at a time at a software company, so I've always loved technology and the way of using tech to make my work faster and better was always a focus. And when AI came and this possibility of using especially Gen AI to make our works simpler, faster, and make me more productive, uh, even when that means making more work in less time, um, I was onto it. So that's when it all started. When I was even when I was in college, I always tried to learn how to code. I actually was in a she code program, so I started coding really soon in my career, and that helped me to begin trying to mix these two fields, AI and PR, and tech and PR. And all of this became really natural with time. So when we start hearing about Gen AI, I was already doing tests, and naturally I started using it in my daily life. And when we created Aurora, and it was our own project, mine and Nuno's, and the focus and the idea of doing more, the better, was always present. So that's how AI came, and we've been using it, and we've been using it ever since.
Exactly, do you use AI in
Okay,
a PR function?
okay. In a PR function, we've been using AI in several areas. So not only in producing content, but always in the way of analyzing content. So we started using it actually as a way of analyzing data, analyzing big amounts of data, and with that making better results out of our content. Uh, and that meant making better PR texts, making better biographies for our clients, creating chatbots that talk like our clients, and that way allowed us to write better in their names. So we use AI in three different ways: to create content, to analyze content, and to analyze data. Usually we start with analyzing data. We have data from our clients, and it can be based on what they are, what they do, how they do it, but also how people react to what they do. And when you manage reputation, this idea of being able to analyze data based on interactions and how things work or not makes you make better work. So that's one of the parts. The part of creating, it's more usually known from people, but has a lot of skills involved. That's part of the things that actually I teach in college, and we try to bring it on actually to the team and make them use it as well. So prompt engineering is a lot of it. We have to be always in improving our prompts and also improving our chatbots as well. There's different programs and different kinds of AI we've been using. Midjourney and ChatGPT were the first we started using, but in a very simple and quick way, we start to use actually tools that allow us to analyze data easily, create video content easily, or making small adjustments in sound and video, and everything became faster, and that's a really important part of it.
That's great. And are there any factors that led you to, or that promoted this passion you have for tech and for AI? Is there anything that you can remember that pulled the trigger for you to be interested in it?
Um, I grew up with a very ambition household. So this idea of having parents that always push me further helped a lot when thinking of my growth. and tech came with it naturally. So basically, when we see examples of big international CEOs and big international companies that are making a lot of changes and impacting the world economy, the politics, obviously and naturally, I start thinking, well, I want to be that kind of person. I want to make that kind of change. So that's how tech came in my life. Naturally, as well, my parents have a tech company, so that helped me to trying to experience, to listen, to try to be a part of it in somehow. Um, and naturally in college as well, I think I had the luck to study in a time that where tech was all around. So I remember to listen very quickly that nothing could be done without the digital. It was inseparable. So tech came along the way, and I had the luck to have teachers that always assumed that we should know some kind of things that would enrich our knowledge. And that came with programming, that came with AI. So I think it was really natural in that area.
So now let's move on to the challenges that you have been facing during your journey. In general, what are the biggest challenges that you face or that you still face when it comes to progressing your career, considering it is related to tech and AI?
Okay. Um, the biggest challenge is everything is always changing. So you have to make the time to be always consuming new content, new studies, new developments that are happening in the area. And I think that's one of the parts. Having clients that actually are based in tech fields helps us too, of course, because in our daily life we work with clients that are in software field, AI field, and or put tech in other areas like health or finance.
More specifically, what have been the most significant challenges in having your qualifications and expertise recognized by others, both peers, employers, employees, in this sector of PR and communication? Do you think this is a challenge at all?
In PR.
Or, yeah,
Okay.
like,
Challenges I've been facing in this area. One of them is it's a new field. There's not a lot of research still being done, and people have a lot of questions. So when we start saying we are working on something that people don't usually use on their daily life, they are always a bit suspicious. But that's a progress, and having a class in the university based on that, it's a big green flag on this. People are getting aware. Um, and there's another part, and that's probably the biggest challenge I faced. The biggest challenge I faced has been my age actually. So I started lecturing when I was 25, and I started this company when I was 24. I had the luck to have people around me that never assumed that that would be something that would not enable me to do it. So when people assumed that I was able to do it, I was actually able to be seated on a table and make a difference. But it was a challenge. Uh, I would say, if not for others, at least for me, because sometimes I assumed maybe I wouldn't be able. And when I changed that switch in my head, everything was started making sense. So, yeah.
that's great. And something great to share with girls who have that entrepreneur inside of them. Yeah, because it's very hard. So regarding education and skills, do you think that the education system here in Portugal supports female integration into STEM and ICT roles or not?
Yeah. Um, things are changing, and I think right now, maybe more than when I was in middle school or even in lower grades, there weren't many opportunities for us to be in contact with these fields, for girls and even for boys, I think, and things change quite quickly. Um, Luckily, I think we're starting to have examples to look forward, and projects like Inspiring Girls bring us the opportunity to see it and to actually be facing uh, another role, another possibility, and that makes a lot of change.
That's great. So which skills and competencies did you realize you needed or that were helpful for what
Hmm.
you're doing now, and which ones would you like to learn or somehow
Hmm.
develop?
Um, to do this, you have to be really curious for once and really persistent, because always being aware of what's happening and willing to learn, it's not easy when you have a job to do and daily life to consume you. So it's a lot. And these kinds of areas that are still involving asks us to be really persistent in this idea that we're not there yet. It's impossible to know everything, and everything will change, and probably tomorrow everything will be completely different. So I think that's the main difficulty we'll be facing, but it's possible to do it. It's a way we have to navigate.
Great. So, opportunities and resources.
Mhm.
Have you observed any specific opportunities or support systems that have somehow facilitated the integration of young females into the AI workforce that you can share?
I've been contacted with different groups. Inspiring Girls, it's more focused in little girls, but actually, even groups for women in business, women in tech and AI. I've joined some of them recently, actually, and it allowed me to share my fears and share knowledge, share new resources. And I think that was the main, and it is actually right now probably the main way of helping people to come across this path.
Kind of support, specific resources or assistance
Mhm.
do you think, and that do you found most helpful in challenging or in facing the challenges of gender imbalance in this world of AI, because it is imbalanced as every field in tech?
There was something that made a lot of difference in my along all my journey. That was having not only examples but people around me assuming that I was able to do it, and that's still the truth right now. I had a mom that was really empowered and never doubted herself, neither she doubted me. And when we saw politics, when we saw entrepreneurs, I was always faced with a speech where she assumed I would be able to get there, and that made a difference in a young age. When I grew up, I realized the way she and my dad actually worked together, um, in a way that no one doubted that she was able to combine the two worlds of her life and her job. And I started facing that fears because we grow up and we start facing it and realizing how are we going to balance everything. I have the luck to have a partner as well that always assume that I will be able to do everything in my career, so as you will, and never stop me. And I had the luck as well to have teachers in college. One of them was so important that is even my business partner right now, that always assumed that I was going to get there too. So when we assume people will be able, they usually get there. And the reality here is when we start doing PR with AI, we had fears as well. We didn't know if people would react well to this, if it was something that people would actually be able to navigate this wave, or if it would just be a trend. And that was a fear at the time. But I had people around me that were always assuming that I would be able to. So I did. And the question was, every time I faced fears and or I was somehow doubting the way I would be able to navigate this journey, uh, I would find myself asking or saying to myself, I know I would be able to do this, I just don't know how yet. And that's the reality and became the reality a long time. So when I contact with other people, even in groups like Inspiring Girls, but also I've just been with I've just been with Human Energy, another group of women where we share knowledge in this area. This idea of assuming that we will be able to get there facilitates everything. So examples and right assumptions are a great part of the journey.
Great, so inspiring. Some parting words of advice. So, what advice would you give to young girls or women that are thinking about to follow a career in AI?
Something I did from quite a beginning was to look for people that inspire me. So I start looking in LinkedIn, in Google, in the news. Where are the people that I look forward to become? I want to be there. I want to make that kind of change. And that was the first part of it. And then I tried to get to them or to see what kind of journey they were doing. And right now there's amazing projects like Inspiring Girls that actually allows you to be in contact with this woman, this fantastic woman. Um, and breaking down this barrier, actually allowing you to be inspired and to aim to get there. It's a big part of it. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to be afraid, but assume you'll be able to. You just don't know how yet.